Alyssa, and today I'm talking about why I loved in January. I know, I'm late again. Maybe I shouldn't say that, that's a weird... Nah, wrong meaning. Anyway, I know it's past January, but I hope you enjoy this video. If you're new to my What I Loved series, it's basically my monthly favorites where I list my favorite movies, TV shows, books, and video games. And I might add a little extra in this video. But yeah, I hope you enjoy it, and we'll just get started with the movies, which I do pull these from Letterboxd. And if you want to follow me on there, feel free to do so. I love following you back and seeing what you watch and what you rate the movies you watch. So yeah, that link is in the description box below the video. So first up, what I watched the first day of January was Doctor Who Revolution of the Daleks. This was the New Year's special. And I'm just a sucker for anything Doctor Who. I adore Jodie Whittaker as the 13th Doctor. I don't want to say too much about this special if you're just now getting caught up on Doctor Who, you've never watched it, and you want to. I will say it does have to do with Daleks, which are a very iconic enemy, and an iconic character returns. There are some major implications in this episode. It was a lot of fun. I give it 4 out of 5 stars. It's great. I loved it. I just adored it. It was a great way to kick off 2021, even though it's still kind of a crap year. It was a good way to start it. So, yeah, Doctor Who Revolution of the Daleks. It was a good one. The next movie I watched is one that people seem to either really love it or they're just not into it, and I'm kind of in the latter category, and that is Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. I gave it 3 out of 5 stars, and I love the performances in this, especially Chadwick Boseman. He was fantastic, and I could definitely see him getting nominated for a posthumous Oscar. I think he's already been nominated for several Golden Globes. Viola Davis as well is just a knockout as Ma Rainey, and the film looks beautiful. The costumes are gorgeous. It's just the structure wasn't really doing it for me. It was just too much like a play. And considering this is an August Wilson adaptation, and the previous August Wilson adaptation that Viola Davis was in, Fences, blew me away so much, and this was so different, it just didn't gel with me. But I think if I go back and rewatch this later with this already in mind, I might enjoy it more. But yeah, I mean, it's good. It's just you have to get used to that play-like structure, and if you don't like that, then you probably won't like this movie. But the acting alone is worth watching it for, especially Chadwick Boseman. But as you can see, most people gave it a pretty good score, who I follow, so yeah, it's on Netflix. Okay, the next one I watched is Frozen. Not the Disney Frozen. This is a horror movie called Frozen. 3.5 out of 5 stars, but I did put a heart next to it, meaning it's a favorite, because it was just so exhilarating. I didn't really know what was going to happen at any given time. And it follows these 3 friends, 2 of them are a couple, and they go on the ski trip and they get on the ski lift, but it stops and they're stuck up there, and the resort's only open on the weekends, so, you know, they get stuck on a Sunday and they're not going to be able to get out until Friday, and it's freezing way up high, and they're just stuck and they have to figure out how are they going to escape, how are they going to survive. Again, it's a nail-biting thriller, kind of like horror movie. It's not scary per se. It's more like edge of your seat, heart-thumping. You just don't know what's going to happen. I really did enjoy this for what it was. It's very claustrophobic. They did a lot with very little. And, I mean, the actors Emma Bell, Shawn Ashmore, and Kevin Zegers are great. I always like seeing Shawn Ashmore and stuff, as well as Kevin Zegers. So it was nice to see those 2 in this film, and you can watch it on Hulu, according to Letterboxd, which is where I watched it. But yeah, it's a fun time. If you haven't seen it, watch it. The next one up is the Mothman Prophecies. I love Mothman, and I was really hoping this would really, like, you know, focus on Mothman and the Men in Black, but it really just stares on grief, and I gave it 3.5 out of 5 stars. It's a really well done movie, and Richard Gere is really good as John Klein. This is based off John Keel's book, but he plays John Klein. The thing is, there's not much Mothman though, to be honest, and that was really disappointing, and I don't think there was really any kind of mention of the Men in Black. They did show the Silver Bridge incident, which I appreciated because that's just a really tragic yet interesting story. But it's just, I was hoping for more cryptid stuff instead of just a portrayal of grief, which it did a fantastic job of portraying this man's grief over his wife who has died. It's just, it was a bit of a letdown considering the name is The Mothman Prophecies, and I just wanted Mothman, to be honest. Okay, the next one was one of my favorite films of the past year, and I included it even though I watched it in January, kind of a cheat, but that is Weathering with You. Oh my gosh, I am a huge fan of Makoto Shinkai, and this is another just beautiful film from him. He really specializes in creating these romances that tug on your heartstrings, and they elicit tears, and they give you hope, and his films have a wonderful soundtracks, by the way. This is soundtracked, scored by Radwimps, and I'm a huge fan of Radwimps now because he used them also for his previous film, Your Name, which is also a masterpiece. This is really just the story of a boy who meets a sunshine girl who can control the rain, and Japan's getting a lot of rain at this time. It's in danger of flooding, and you know, when people find out she's a sunshine girl, they want to utilize her, but it takes a toll on her. It's just a beautiful, beautiful film. The animation's gorgeous. If you listen to it with the English dub, they do a fantastic job, and they've got some really great actors in the cast, like Lee Pace, Alison Brie, Riz Ahmed. Wonderful actors. It is on HBO Max if you want to stream it, but you can also just purchase it, rent it, whatever. I do highly recommend it because it's just so beautiful. It's not as good as Your Name, I will admit that, but it's a very, very close second to it. Yeah, this is another great Shinkai film. I love it! And all these 3-star reviews are hurting my soul, but I get it. Everyone's got their own opinion. But yeah, I really loved it. Probably more than most people did, but I loved it. I'm also just a weeb, so that might be another issue. Not really an issue, I love being a weeb. I also watched Pieces of a Woman, which this is a very divisive film, and I understand why. I gave it 4.5 out of 5 stars. It's got a very troublesome actor in it, Shia LaBeouf, but this is Vanessa Kirby's movie, and the first, I think it's 24 minutes, is a completely unbroken shot. So impactful, well executed, just devastating. But then, it does slow down, but I really liked how this was a portrayal of a mother's grief, a woman's grief, how she moves on with her life or doesn't, and how that affects everyone around her who loves her. Vanessa Kirby, again, just slays this movie. She really shows her star potential, and I loved Ellen Burstyn as her mother. She was phenomenal as well. Shia LaBeouf did give a good performance in this. It's just his past, his history, the things that have come out against him kind of overshadow the film, and I will admit, after that first 24 odd minutes, it does slow down. So I can see why people don't like it as much as I did, but I thought it was really powerful and impactful, and again, Vanessa Kirby just sold the movie. She stole it. She stole it. I then watched The Grudge for the first time. This is the first American remake. I really did enjoy Ju-on The Grudge, the original OG Grudge. It scared the living crap out of me when I watched it. This one, it pretty much follows the Japanese version beat by beat. It's by the same director, but it doesn't have the same effect because you know what's going to happen. And yeah, I got jump scared a bunch, but I knew everything that was going to happen. And yeah, I wish they would have changed a few things instead of making it just seem like the same movie but in English. But yeah, I mean, Kayako and Toshio are still scary AF to see, and just the idea of going into a house and leaving it and then being cursed to die after you leave the house is a scary thought. And there was an actual house in Japan that they shot in that was supposed to be haunted. I think they tore it down now. But yeah, I mean, it was okay. I do think the Japanese original is better, like most J-horror films that become adapted into an American film. But I highly doubt that I will watch the second Grudge or the rebooted Grudge that came out 1 or 2 years ago. I highly doubt I'll watch those just because I don't want to see the same thing over and over again. So it was decent, 3 out of 5 stars. I would say watch Ju-on the Grudge over this because it's just better. Then I watched All My Life, which is a cute, cliched, sad romance movie. I mean, if you've watched any Nicholas Sparks film adaptation or you've seen something like The Fault in Our Stars, you know what to expect. You're gonna cry. It's gonna be cute and wholesome and adorable, and you're gonna root for this couple. And the couple themselves are just so likable, Jessica Roth and Harry Shum Jr. It's so predictable that I couldn't give it more than 3 stars, but it is super duper cute and adorable, and it's not very long, so you could really just watch this when you wanted to kill some time and you need to feel the feelings. But yeah, I mean, it's nothing special, but it's fun and cute. I then watched Before I Fall, which is again 3 out of 5 stars. Again, it's very predictable. It follows a lot of the tropes of the day repeating itself formula, the Groundhog Day formula. It follows a lot of those tropes, but Zoe Dutch is such a likable, charismatic actress that she really holds your attention throughout the film. And I did read the book in high school. I think this does deviate a little bit, but it's been so long since I read the book that I can't remember every detail. It's about a teenage girl that keeps having to live the same day over and over again, and no matter what she does, it still repeats itself, and she has to try to figure out how to get out of the time loop. It's fine. It's fine. If you're gonna watch it for Zoe Dutch. It's on Netflix, and it's short, so it will kill time. It's a fun movie, it's just nothing groundbreaking. Okay, the next thing was so cute! And that is out. This is a short on Disney Plus. It's one of the Pixar Spark shorts. And this is about a man who is moving to a different city with his boyfriend, but his parents don't know that he's gay. So he's been hiding his boyfriend, and his boyfriend is basically telling him, if you don't tell your parents you're gay, I'm leaving you. So it's just really about this man trying to come out to his parents, and it's just so cute, so heartwarming. There's an adorable dog in this, and I did cry. It's only a 9-minute long short, and it still packed a major punch and made me cry, and I give it 4.5 out of 5 stars. Definitely give this a watch. It's all about love and unconditional love and acceptance, and it's just so beautiful! It's getting hot in here, but I can't take off all my clothes. It is really hot in here, by the way. The next film I watched was The Kingdom of Dreams and Madness. I do not know why I had never watched this before, but this is a documentary on Hayao Miyazaki, who is the famed director who created a lot of Studio Ghibli's classic anime films. And this just shows his process. It shows him working on creating The Wind Rises, which was supposed to be his last feature film, but since the documentary came out, he is now working on another feature-length animated film because he just can't retire. And I'm so glad, but I love Hayao Miyazaki. He is so grumpy, but he's adorable, and everything does just, I'm just entranced by the man, okay? Like, I think he's just like, I want him to be my grandpa. Just adopt me, Hayao Miyazaki, please. He's just, he's charming. It always makes me laugh when he starts talking about his son Goro, who is also a fellow director. Those two have such a contentious relationship, but it's so funny. But yeah, really, it was really interesting to see what goes on in a Studio Ghibli production, how he does run a very tight ship when it comes to making these films, and how, yeah, he does push you to do your best, but for some people, they just can't handle that. But I also like seeing into Hayao Miyazaki's life, how he lives outside of work, which is basically doing more work. He's very passionate about what he does, and even though he always says things are a hassle, he's just so passionate about it that I cannot help but love him and adore him even more now. So if you are a fan of Studio Ghibli, and especially of Miyazaki-san, check out The Kingdom of Dreams and Madness. It's on HBO Max right now. I then watched Promising Young Woman, which is a problematic film, but I really liked it for the fact that it was problematic. I don't want to give away too much, but it's about a woman who is played by Carey Mulligan. Her name's Cassie. She basically goes out and acts like she's really intoxicated, that she can't do anything, to lure guys to take her to their homes and then she gets her revenge on them. It's a very candy-colored, vibrant film. The pop soundtrack is perfect for what goes on, even though you wouldn't imagine those two meshing together well. And the fact that the director, Emerald Fennell, cast a lot of, Hollywood nice guys like Adam Brody, Bo Burnham, Christopher Mintz-Plasse as these characters that aren't so nice is another really excellent touch. I love the ending. I did know the ending because there was a leak about a year ago before the film even came out, and it said what the ending was, and I was really hoping that was not correct, but it was. But it still really hit hard for me, even knowing what was going to happen, and it was triggering to me. So if you have had any kind of experience with assault, harassment, this could be triggering for you. I still really enjoyed it, but I did have to pause the movie a couple times because it was tough. It was a tough watch. But again, I think it's really well done. I gave it 4.5 out of 5 stars. And Emerald Fennell is definitely a director who is ballsy, and I cannot wait to see what else she has coming out. Okay, this next one is going to be in the TV portion, and that is Cowboy Bebop. As you can see, I gave it 5 out of 5 stars, but we'll talk about that later. I then watched Horizon Line, which is way too fun for what it actually is. 3.5 out of 5 stars, but you see, it's got the heart. Really, it's Allison Williams and Alexander Draymond and Keith David. So they're a couple, but I think they're on the brink, of breaking up, or they're on the outs. But they're going to their friend's wedding, and they miss their flight, so they charter a private flight from one of their friends, but something happens, and they end up having to fly the plane, and then crap keeps happening. It's just, you never know what's going to happen next, and yeah, some of the effects are cheesy. Some of the dialogue is pretty blah, but it's fun, and it keeps you on the edge of your seat. You really don't know what's going to happen to this couple, and I liked it way more than I probably should, but it was fun. It was fun. So, I mean, if you just want to kill some time with a cheesy sort of B-movie, Horizon Line, I mean, you could do a lot worse, trust me. I've seen worse B-movies, because I like me a good B-movie sometimes, and I've seen some pretty bad ones, and this is not one of those, so yeah, it's on the good side of B-movies. I also watched Never Ending Man, Hayao Miyazaki, which is another documentary that takes place after Kingdom of Dreams and Madness. This sees Miyazaki-san working on Boro the Caterpillar, and he wanted it to be CG, but then he decides he's going to hand draw it. For some reason, I thought this was going to be the feature film he made. It's not, it's just a short film. But it's still really interesting to see how he reacts to the process of trying to make Boro in CG, and just seeing his thoughts and hearing his thoughts, and people are trying to get him to, go back to the standard hand-drawn animation style of his, make another feature film, and he's very adamant. He's like, no, I'm retired. Obviously, though, he's not retired. It's just another look at his work ethic, his life. If you're interested in Miyazaki, check out Never Ending Man, Hayao Miyazaki on HBO Max if you're in the US. I rewatched Life, and I actually liked it less the second time. I watched this with my dad because I was like, you know what, we should watch a sci-fi movie together. And I watched this in theaters when it first came out, and I remembered it being a lot more exciting than it is. But I mean, it's got a great cast. Jake Gyllenhaal, Rebecca Ferguson, Ryan Reynolds. I was like, Deadpool, Ryan Reynolds. They're all great. And the effects are good for the budget this film had. And, it's exciting at points, but there's a lot that drags it down. And I didn't notice that until my second watch of the film. It's still not a bad movie by any means. It's just I enjoyed it less the second time and gave it 3 out of 5 stars. So I bumped it down half a star. But it's still worth watching if you haven't seen it, because it is an interesting concept, and they did a lot with a formula in the genre that gets used a lot. It's very much in the Alien vein, but it's different. It differentiates itself. It's just, I didn't like it as much the second time. I then watched Eden Lake, which I gave 2.5 out of 5 stars. It's pretty dull, to be honest. I mean, Michael Fassbender and Kelly Riley are really good in this, but it takes a long time for this film to get going, and it's only an hour and a half long. The last 10-15 minutes are really, really great, and that's kind of what saved it for me. Plus, Michael Fassbender being Michael Fassbender. But I just expected more from it, and I didn't really get that. I know some people love this film, some people hate it. I'm just like in the middle. It's okay. I mean, it's not the worst thing you could watch, but it's not something you have to go and hunt down either. It's a way to kill some time if you need to. This next one I did not like at all. Sightless. This is on Netflix, and I feel bad for saying this because the guy is this is his first feature film. But I didn't like it. It felt so predictable and cliched. Madeleine Pesch plays a woman who is blinded suddenly, and she has to figure out who blinded her. But everything is so predictable. I guessed every twist and turn. And really, I only gave it 2 stars because it is shot pretty well. The cinematography is pretty. I can't say I'd really recommend this because it just feels like pretty much a lot of movies you've already seen. I mean, if you want to watch it, go ahead. Maybe you'll like it better than I did. As you can see, ratings are pretty low. But, I mean, it's a way to kill time. I know I've said that about several movies, but it's true. The next film I freaking adored is Our Friend. 4 out of 5 stars. Oh my gosh, I cried so hard during this movie. And it's based on a true story about a couple that live in Fairhope, Alabama. And the woman, Nicole, is diagnosed with cancer. So their mutual friend moves into their house to help take care of their kids and kind of help out with Nicole, help his friend Matt out with his wife Nicole. And you just learn about the couple and their history, and how they started their friendship with their friend, Dane, played by Jason Segel. It's just such a lovely movie, and it really does, jerk at those tear ducts. But yeah, Casey Affleck, Dakota Johnson, Jason Segel, all great. I really did love this movie. I did think the pacing was a little bit weird, and how it jumped back and forth in time. But overall, I do recommend watching this because it's a really good film, and it's gonna make you cry. If you need a good cry, especially, watch this film. Another one I watched is 10 Years with Hayao Miyazaki. This is actually like a docu-series. It was 4 episodes that aired on NHK and PBS, and you can watch it for free on either of their websites. It's just, seeing Hayao Miyazaki go from creating Ponyo up to The Wind Rises, and his relationship with Goro, and seeing him, with his business associates and his employees, and it's another great look into Miyazaki-san's life. I'm obsessed, can you tell? Again, I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. I was fascinated. The next one is one that's kind of like a hidden gem movie, and that's Alone. There were 2 movies called Alone that came out in 2020, at least. This is on Hulu, and it's about a woman that gets in a car wreck, and then this man comes, and he's trying to help her, but then things go awry, and you think you know what's going to happen, but you don't. It's really, really well done, especially for being a lower budget film. It's got a lot of thrills and excitement. It does feel a little slow burnish, but I really, really dug this movie, gave it 3.5 out of 5 stars, and yeah, I recommend you check it out on Hulu. It's not very scary, but it does have a lot of suspense. Okay, the next one is going to be one that people are going to be like, what the heck are you talking about, Alyssa? You are wrong. That is Lock, Stock, and 2 Smoking Barrels. I gave it 2.5 out of 5 stars. This is another one I watched with my dad. We both didn't like it. I did give it 2.5 because there are some exciting action moments in this, and there are a couple of funny lines. But overall, we both found it pretty boring, and I wasn't expecting that from a Guy Ritchie film, and especially from the cast that's in this. I'm really hoping that when I check out more of his films, I like them better than this one, because I really liked Aladdin. Like, that's a high bar to cross. But I just didn't dig Lock, Stock, and I know a lot of people do. Like, look at the ratings. Like, people love this movie, and I felt so bad that I didn't love it. But you know what? Everyone has their own tastes. It's cool. It's fine. Everything's peachy keen. And then watched The Little Things, which I enjoyed more than most people did. It is a very slow burn, but I really dug it. If you like Seven, like the movie Seven, this has some vibes of that. But I mean, the cast is what really sells it, especially Jared Leto. Jared Leto is freaking amazing in this. But so is Denzel Washington, and people complained about Rami Malek's performance, but I actually thought he did a really good job portraying this certain kind of character. It's a gruesome movie. You do see some stuff you might not want to see, but it's compelling. I love the ending and how you kind of have to figure things out by yourself. I liked it, and it's on HBO Max currently, and also in theaters. So, I mean, if you're into, you know, serial killer stuff, you like Seven or movies of that ilk, The Little Things is worth just checking out if you have HBO Max. If you don't like it, you can turn it off. But I gave it 3.5 out of 5 stars. I thought it was pretty compelling. It did feel a little too long, but I thought it was worth it. And the last movie I watched was a rewatch, and that is Kill Bill Volume 2. It was just on TV, and me and my dad rewatched it. But it's not as good as the first Kill Bill, but it's very close. I gave it 4.5 out of 5 stars. I love the story of Beatrix Kiddo. I love seeing how she goes through the list of her fellow assassins and just kind of crosses them off in her journey to kill Bill. It's just a really great action film. Both of them are just, if you could watch them back to back, that'd be great, but they are pretty long movies. But I think Uma Thurman was perfect in this movie, and I love Quentin Tarantino films, so it was great. Okay, so those were all the movies I watched in January, so let's talk about the TV that I loved. Okay, first off, we're just gonna get this out of the way because I already showed you it on my letterbox, but that is Cowboy Bebop. This is one of the most well-regarded, popular anime series of pretty much all time, and it deserves that recognition. It is phenomenal. I feel like Firefly was probably somewhat inspired by this. If it wasn't, then just a coincidence, but it's just a space western, great characters, iconic characters, great action scenes. The story, pretty much every episode, there's a new storyline besides towards the end. And I loved this series so much. And oh my gosh, if I could cosplay, I would cosplay as Faye Valentine because I think I fell in love with her watching this. But I also really like Spike Spiegel too. I'm actually wearing a See You Space Meow Boy shirt because the theme. But it's iconic, and in that line, See You Space Cowboy, it's just, you know it without even watching the series. But if you haven't watched Cowboy Bebop and you're into science fiction, you're into westerns, if you're into anime, definitely watch it. It's worth it, and the voice acting is superb, the animation's great. I could gush about this, but it is truly a masterpiece, and I need to watch the movie just to see how it ties up certain threads. The next show I watched was season 2 of Pen 15. Alexa, stop. I did not say her name. But Pen 15, season 2. I think I like season 1 a little bit more than season 2. I can't decide. I keep waffling back and forth. But this is created by Anna Konkle and Maya Erskine, and they play 13-year-old versions of themselves in the show. And, you know, they just go through what typical 13-year-old girls go through, like dealing with crushes and not knowing what's happening with your body and having issues with your parents. It feels like a nostalgia hit, and it is set in the 80s, 90s? I don't know the time period. But, you know, you could take him back to your high school time, middle school time, and it just reminds you of how awkward people are back then and how no one knows what they're doing. And it's just funny. My throat's going. Also, been loving season 2 of Zoe's Extraordinary Playlist. This just fills the Glee-shaped hole in my heart, guys. Jane Levy is fantastic as the lead Zoe Clark, and the premise of the show is Zoe, after going through an MRI and an earthquake happening, she suddenly can hear people's heart songs, which means she can see them break out in song and dance, but they're not actually doing that. That's just in their head, their heart. And it causes problems, but it's also inspiring. It teaches Zoe a lot of lessons, and us as the audience lessons. And you get to hear current popular songs, classic songs you may never have heard of before. And most of the cast are talented actors, singers, and dancers. couple of iffy ones, but it's just a very joyful show, and I love it. I also really love the first season of The Promised Neverland. I have not seen any of season 2 yet, but the first season of Promised Neverland, I was so shocked at the storyline. I didn't know what to expect going into this anime, but it's basically about this group of kids that when they reach the age of 12, they get sold off and their organs are harvested by demons. And no one knows what's going on until these two kids go and see one of their fellow, I don't know what the word is, orphans? Because it is an orphanage, get, sold, and then they try to help everyone else escape. It's just, you never know what's going to happen with each episode. It's nail-biting, the animation's great, I love the friendship between the three main characters. Every death was shocking. They don't happen all the time, but when they do happen, they make an impact. And I am excited for season 2, but I've heard it's not as good as the first one, which is kind of for me, which is why I haven't watched it yet. Hoping it gets better, but the first season was really good. I've also really been digging Servant, which is a show on Apple TV+. This is I guess it is creepy. It's not creepy to me, but it's got a creepy vibe. It's got Toby Kebbell and Rupert Grint in this show. And it's about this couple, Toby Kebbell and Lauren Ambrose, who they have tried for forever to have a baby, and they finally had one, but he died tragically at, I think, 13 weeks old. But they didn't tell anyone about it, besides her brother and the police. So they hire a nanny because they have this reborn doll that is made to look like their son that died. But the nanny starts treating the doll like he's a real baby. The mom is treating the doll like a real baby. Weird stuff happens. If I say anything more, it's going to ruin the series. But if you like M. Night Shyamalan type of stuff, because he is an executive producer on this and directed several episodes, definitely check this out because it has that Shyamalan vibe. It's creepy. It's suspenseful. Definitely check out Servant. I have been loving Schitt's Creek. I know I'm probably going to get kicked off the algorithm, even though it's not the actual curse word, if you look at the spelling, but anyway. I'm only halfway through season 2, so no spoilsies, okay? But I love the Rose family. I think Dan Levy's actually my favorite. I just freaking adore him now. But I just love seeing how the Rose family has to move to Schitt's Creek because they lost all their money and they're stuck in the Rosebud Motel. And it's just so funny. It's my sense of humor. It's not like gross, disgusting sense of humor. It does have some sexual humor, but it's not gross and disgusting. It's just, about this family, and they're just trying to adjust to life, and they just say off-the-wall stuff that makes you laugh, and stuff happens to them that makes you laugh, and it feels good to watch it. So I'm really enjoying it, and I'm trying to spread the journey out. The last show I loved in January was Demon Slayer Kimetsu no Yaiba. I love Demon Slayer, and I cannot wait for the film to come out in the United States, and then hopefully season 2, because I need season 2. But this follows a boy named Tanjiro, who is living in the Taisho era in Japan, and one day he comes home after selling charcoal to find his whole family butchered, and only his sister Nezuko survives, and he's trying to get her medical help, but then she tries to bite him. He finds out she's a demon, but she doesn't want to hurt humans after she realizes that that's her brother. It's just a really, really cool concept. Interesting series. I know I'm very late to the bandwagon, but I just loved it. It's gory. It kind of reminds me of a mixture between Avatar: The Last Airbender and Attack on Titan, kind of. It's just the animation is gorgeous. Love the characters. Nezuko is one of my favorite anime characters of the moment. I love this series. It's so brutal and gory and funny, and I just love it. Now for the video games I enjoyed in January. First up is Marvel Spider-Man Miles Morales. I loved learning more about Miles Morales, seeing his story, and even though the game's only about 6 to 8 hours long, depending on how you spend time with side missions and stuff like that, it's such a good story. It's so fleshed out. The voice acting is superb. It looks freaking amazing on the PS5, and playing it with the DualSense controller just adds that little... it's just perfect. And with the headset that you can buy with the PS5, oh my gosh, it sounds incredible. It's a game you need to play if you have a PS5. Even if you don't, you can play it on PS4. And if you played Marvel's Spider-Man back in 2018, definitely play Miles Morales because it bridges the two together, and it's so good. It's so fun. I do think it's a tad easier than the first game was, and I played it on normal difficulty. It's pretty easy. I never died during my entire playthrough, so it is a little easier, but I had so much fun with it. I also really loved Call of the Sea, which is currently on Xbox Game Pass. It's just this puzzle game set on this weird, mysterious island, and you play as Nora, who is voiced by my girl, Sissy Jones. We did an episode of Geek to Geek together way back when, and she's awesome. She's so talented. But it's such a beautiful game, and the puzzles can be really hard, and I had to look a couple of them up, to be honest. But the story is so intriguing. It's inspired by H.P. Lovecraft's work. And just hearing Sissy do this amazing voice and Yuri Lowenthal play her husband and going around the island seeing all the different things that are occurring and the beautiful sights, it's just a really wonderful game. Highly recommend you play it, and it's only like 3 to 4 hours long, so it's definitely worth playing. And I'm currently playing Spiritfarer, which is also on Xbox Game Pass if you have that. But it's just such a soothing, beautiful game. It's a management sim, but you're also helping these souls pass on to a higher realm, I guess you'd call it. And it's just so relaxing to farm on your boat, feed your citizens, even though I don't know why they need to be fed. They're ghosts. You know, picking things out for them to make them happier, upgrading their rooms, and just, you know, going to all these different locations. I know it sounds like a lot of busy work hearing me talk about it, but it's just so much fun, and you really get out of your own head when you're playing it, and it is emotional. Like, I'm attached to several of these characters, and I'm gonna be sad when they pass on. Oh my god. It is a long game, but it's worth it. It's beautiful. It looks like a painting come to life, and I'm just so in love with Spiritfarer. I'm trying to say it without sounding weird, but I always sound weird, so it's okay. And the book I loved in January was The Vanishing Half by Britt Bennett. I loved her first book, The Mothers, but this one I think is better, and it's just so hard-hitting. It's the story of two sisters, Stella and... I forgot the other's name. It's Stella and... God dang it. Why am I so bad at this? Is it Stella and Desiree? Yeah, Stella and Desiree. Sorry. I had to look it up. Just my bra strap like a pro. But in this book, Desiree identifies as black. Stella identifies as white. They are mixed, and their whole town is of mixed heritage. And it's just such an interesting look at how both of their lives turn out with how they are presenting themselves. And it's such an important book. It's beautifully written. The way their daughters meet and interact and how completely different they are, yet how they love each other, is just so incredible. Britt Bennett did a fantastic job writing this, and it's really important, and I would highly recommend you pick it up and read it because it's so moving. I just want to show one more thing as a favorite, but my friends J&M have their own shop. I'm not sponsored or anything. They did not ask me to do this, but it's called The Lunar Cottage, and they make beautiful paintings, and they crochet amigurumis, and they have pillows and stuffed animals and cat toys. But I have a Mothman here. Look at him. Is he not cute? And the best part are his wings. He's so cute. And he sits perfectly, like, on a desk. And then I also have Nessie, the Loch Ness Monster. I mean, the detail on these are just, you know, just so cute. And they have other cryptids and other things you can look at. I will link their shop down below. But I love my two little cryptid babies. And I might get more in the future, who knows, but these are my two favorites, and I needed both, Mothman and Nessie, but I'm so happy with both. They're handmade, It's supporting a local, not local, they live in New York, small business, and you're just, yeah, you're getting unique items, and I love these. I love J&M. So yeah, definitely check out their shop. It's great. So that was everything I loved in January. Let me know what you've been loving the past day, week, whatever, because no one can remember the past month, down below in the comment box. Like the video if you liked it, share it if you liked it, subscribe if you haven't already, and also tap the notification bell if you haven't, because you should be alerted every time I upload a new video. If you'd like to follow me on social media, all those links are in the description box below the video. I love you guys. Thank you so much for watching. Bye!